Hey everybody, Mature Simmer here. I had posted a video about this sim, basically just asking, hey, is anybody remotely interested in this? I did get a response from some folks that are typical viewers, and so hey, that's enough, along with the fact that, hey, if I'm doing it and I can record it and I can put it out there, some people may be interested or not. So since I did get an affirmative, decided go ahead and bring this to the channel as well. So the publisher of this, which is Nacon, I believe, has a lot of other things. You can see it's Train Life, a railway simulator. Their current title is Taxi Life, a city driving simulator. Which I've looked at but never been that excited with. It's definitely been mixed reviews and so forth. And then I did grab on a really big sale at one point Chef Life, a restaurant simulator, because sometimes the cooking things are fun. That one I wasn't that impressed with, and I think, again, I may have done a single video on it, just kind of showing it, but never really pulled me in. And they've also got Architect Life, Garden Life. So they're basically always something life, and then it's some sort of a simulator, where Garden Life is just a cozy simulator. But the other ones are kind of specific about whatever the main task is. So that's kind of been what they've done over the years. This came up. It was a sale, I think, during the spring event. So it's still there as I record this, but it'll likely be gone by the time it goes up, because I think we're down to like 5 or 6 hours or something, and this isn't going to get published that quickly, because I'm not sure, where an empty slot will happen. It might be weeks from now that it finally appears. But it was on sale for 90% off. It's a 3.5-year-old game at this point. Go ahead and jump in. And so I did go ahead, get through the tutorial and so forth. So I'm familiar with the controls, and, we're here to get some stuff done. So got a couple different ways to view. You can kind of be on the front of the train. You can be over here this way, kind of a cinematic, but it just kind of pops over, then ends up on the bumper. So kind of interesting. And then more the outside view. So we're going to go ahead right now, and I think I need to ask, let's see, Munich warehouse. We're going to request. So we're going to go ahead. I think we were kind of here anyway, but it's always best just to be sure, because otherwise you get a penalty. Take ourselves off, and we will reverse, and we're going to basically, we need to get over to where that green arrow is, which is the service center. Because unlike what I've done in my little initial playthrough, so there's another service center there behind us, but you can see getting to it is a bit of a challenge. So we're going to go ahead and kind of start off, and then you'll start to see how this works if you're unfamiliar with it. I would say I don't know that it's worth full price right now, which is, $20 when it was $2 at 90% off. And a big part of that is the developer and the publisher, probably more the developer in this case, they've moved on. They're no longer doing anything, and it's been years, is what it looks like from what I've seen. So I don't think there's anything that has happened for that. There's been some things as I was trying to just get familiar with stuff that people had published, and, said, hey, one of the things was, I'd like a station map. And then someone popped on later, like 2 years ago, and said, Yeah, this is a dead game the publisher's not doing anything with, so don't hold your breath, because yeah, right away when they did it, they're like, oh, we'll make note of it, and yeah, maybe we'll include it in a future update. Well, that update never came, because yes, you cannot do the maps. Now, the other reason I decided to bring this to the channel is part of the thing I tend to do. I don't know that I'll call it research, competitive research, whatever, but to some degree it's like, if there's a bunch of people doing it, especially if it's an old sim like this, or if there's a lot of things out there, sometimes it just doesn't make a lot of sense because it's unlikely to draw any attention. Not that I'm ever get a whole lot of views at this point yet. Again, maybe that'll never change. Hopefully it will. Hopefully we'll get a little bit more traction, but in any event, I found 3 series in total that ever have been done on this, and most of them are 4 or 5 years old. So I think they were while this thing was even in early access. So I think that date in August of 2022 was, based on probably when it went into regular release, because obviously 5 or 6 years ago was before that. But there are definitely series that are there. Some are 3 years, and one of the 3 is by a German creator who doesn't do all their videos in German, but some of them were German. So I'm coming in here, you can see Service Center Munich cargo mode. I'm going to change this to passenger mode, because I want to move some passengers to begin with. And that's all we're going to do in here, but this is where you need to come to service your locomotive. It's also where you buy locomotives. It's the way you can save the game, so as you can see, it's saving. Now we'll turn this off. Oops, I want to do one other thing. Okay. So while we're in here, I'm also going to go ahead and I am going to go to utilities, and we're going to reverse the locomotive, and you can see it just flips it around. So this kind of leads us a little bit to some of the strange things. So this game really is, I'm going to reference what else is on the channel, some things that people might be familiar with. So it's probably in between. Well, not in between. It's got some things of Train Simulator. It's got some things like Derail Valley, but it's much more relaxed than either of those. I've heard this referred to as the ETS2 with trains, where basically, obviously, if you're familiar with Euro Truck Simulator or American Truck Simulator, but again, since this takes place in Europe, makes more sense to refer to it as ETS2 with trains, because obviously, it fits more because it's in Europe. So, because basically the core of this is do jobs, make money, do jobs, and then you can hire drivers, hire engineers in this case. So we're gonna return that, shoot. So I just realized, so we got to go back to there. So let's do that. Because yeah, with passengers, the only way you can do anything is you need to have passenger cars. And the way you get them, which is partially why it has you do the setting in the service center, is you have to basically attach the cars here. And so I didn't do that, so I can't haul any passengers because I don't have a passenger car. So, and what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a passenger car, and I might grab a postal car. So we might try this. So we'll see. Okay. It took a bit to stop. But anyway. Oh yeah, it thinks I'm off the rails here. So, yeah, it's not giving me the thing. So let me go forward a little bit. And then we'll, there we go. And now we can enter the service center, because we were off that little green highlighted place. But here, adding wagons. So we can add a passenger wagon, and we can add a postage wagon. So we will do that, and those are two different type of things. You can see I can have up to 12, but we don't need that right now. So we go ahead and go back to the game, and we'll take a look here, and we'll go to my train, and well, if I go to the world, I guess. So if we go to Munich, Maine, you can see I can take 50 passengers and 50 pieces of mail, and we really don't have a lot of jobs here that go that need more than that. 50 will probably keep me busy for a little bit, and the nice thing is the warehouses or the mains have service centers, so if I want to change that, I can always pull up to a service center at one of the places before I go get some passengers and add more cars to my train. So now we're set, and you can see we're suddenly pushed way out. We've got extra trains, extra cars, and we're good to go. So now we're gonna redo what we did. So there's a little bit of that. Obviously, any new sim, you know, I've got to work out the quirks, and you know, I'm sure when I go back to Derail Valley, because it's been like 2.5 months, I'm probably going to forget things I knew and had learned there. But the interface is pretty simple. So just simple keys, you know, throttle up, throttle down, brake up, brake down. There's an emergency brake, which is bad. That means I've done something wrong and didn't run the train well. But this is, I'm not going to say it's arcadey, because that really isn't fair. So we had some wheel spin there. So we'll talk about some of the features. Well, we're going to have to go a little bit further because we haven't gotten out of the switch because it's still red. There we go. So now we've gotten out of the switch. But we'll talk about a little bit about the interface now as we go back and we get ourselves to Munich, Maine. So I'm intentionally doing what I'm doing here for a reason, because we want to be facing forward. But if you've watched, say, Derail Valley, or if you've done anything on Train Simulator, like, there's no magic, go to the service center, reverse the train. Like, yeah, you gotta... I'm talking and I'm not thinking. So thank goodness I caught it quickly. But let's go back. So there are simpler things, and so there isn't the realism of like a Derail Valley. So the one main commenter that watches a lot of the train and truck stuff, you know, they made the comment, yeah, they might watch it, but they like Derail Valley because it's more realistic. And it is, to some degree, but this still has a good amount of realism. So now that I've flipped this, you'll notice now we have things to the left. That's what I had done wrong. I'd forgotten to change the switch. So now we're good. And literally, the switch settings, like I can't point to anything on the screen. I can't use something to change the switches like in Derail Valley where we're pointing at them, or that we had some capability we bought that let us do things on a tablet. It's just a button, a single button, just toggles between left and right. And so in this case, because I'm not going anywhere specifically, they're blue. Basically, it doesn't know where I'm going, so it doesn't care. And then, you know, we go from there. But if we look at the interface over on the right, at the bottom, obviously we have speed. In the speed, the circle underneath the kilometers per hour is our limit in the current block that we're in. So I can't go beyond 50 or I'm going to have a problem. So we'll get ourselves a little bit up. You know, there's not a massive rush here. But yeah, we want to go to the left, which is going to be this crossover here, and we're basically going to want to get into the line and get to Maine. So I'm just going to make sure we don't do something stupid here. And then again, now this next left is not this here. It's the next one. But the other problem you have is when you go through switches, so like right now, like, you know, I don't have to set this one, but it won't necessarily stay set this way like it does in Derail Valley. Like if I turned around, the train, yeah, see, I probably should have stayed to the right. So we'll pay attention when we go to the next one. But yeah, we're going to go to Munich, Maine, and we're going to request access. Okay. So we're going to request access to Munich, Maine, because we basically have to get access to each station, or I think there's a penalty if you break the block, just like going through any signal, and I think it's like 1,500 euros. So you can see here we're starting with 10,000 euros. So we are in the... So I'm jumping around too much. So let me go back to the interface. So now I can go 80. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to set this to the right because we want to cross back over. But now, starting with the 3 circles, the next one's telling me that in 800 meters or so, I'm going to go back down to 50. So I obviously don't want to do anything there. Let me pick the route select because we want to do a postage. Well, I don't want to do a postage yet. I want to wait until I get in. So I've got to not go beyond 50, like I got to stay within that. And there's a bit of leeway, like you can go up about 5. And then there's also time before it gives you a penalty here. So you know what, I'm going to stay to the left because I just don't know where it's going to take us. And until we get closer there, it might be fine. So then the green in the center is the throttle, the red is the brake. The top box, it says 93% is our fuel. It's starting to rain. That's what you're seeing. Well, no, yeah, that's what you're seeing is the weird stuff. So it does have kind of a weird rain effect. I mean, it looks okay on the windows of the train. It's not as cool as Derail Valley's rain, but it's all right. And then the bottom one with the shield. So yeah, we actually do want to go to the right here for sure, because otherwise we're going to go to the service center. And we definitely want to get to the terminal. So like in this case, I could go there, I could add more cars if I wanted to. So like before I pulled in, or, you know, I could back out. And so now, if we go to the passenger boarding track, because now we're over where we don't want to be. So we're going to, again, reverse, and we're gonna pull ourselves out here. Because, yeah, we want to get to the point where there's that yellow arrow way out. So you can see it's all the way over to the left side. And so that's the issue, like versus Derail Valley, you can't see things. And so I can't look and say, I want to get to this platform, and how do I get there, and where are the switches? You're basically doing it a little bit on the fly. So it's a little bit more annoying. Heavy rain. Okay, so if we turn the lights on, that'll get us there. Okay, and now we're going to reverse. We're going to set this to the right, or to the left. And again, because I'm facing away, it's not really giving me a signal here. But, so we're going to lower the brakes, and we're going to start. And again, there is some wheel slip. So going down the rest of it, the top one with the R that's yellow now is the reverser. So if you see it, I'm set to go in reverse. If you don't see it, I'm set to go forward. The lights are below, so there's either off or 2 sets. So technically I just need the fog lights right now because it's daytime. The one below it is the emergency brake, the third one down, and then the bottom one is the wheel spin indicator. So if that lights up red, means I've accelerated too fast, braked too hard, broke too hard. I don't know which way that'll go. But yeah, so we'll get in here and we'll get to the platform. But that's the interface. So then the other thing I was talking about with the $10,000 or so forth. So there's 3 difficulty levels of the game which give you kind of base setups. You can set up everything custom if you want, but if you pick the base setups, basically, so yeah, I want to go left. Just trying to be careful here and not go too fast. And then I think we just stay. It's hard to tell, but I think we just stay to the... Oh no, we don't. We don't. See, it's so hard to tell. So yeah, because we need to be in the yellow just like we were in the green with the other ones. So right now we're not... There is a timing factor here, like in Derail Valley, and like in Train Simulator, where you want to get things done and you get bonuses for doing it early and so forth. But the 3 difficulty settings are basic, hard, and extreme. Where there's anything available in extreme, I'm going to try it that way. Because that's just, you know, the nature of the beast. Alright, so I should be okay. So again, we'll go here. And again, it may be giving me things, because now if I go to the... Yeah, see, it's not telling me, so... But yeah, we want to go to the right. And then that will back us in to the platform. So I'm set to extreme, which is why I start my career with 10,000. Hard gives you a little bit more. If I recall, it gives you 20. And then I think basic gives you either 40 or 70, but it's a lot more. Alright, is this going the right place? Yeah, okay. Thought it was. Now you can derail. I haven't done it. I'm not looking to do it. But yes, if you go too fast, the only thing is there aren't like clear grades like there is in Derail Valley. It's just you suddenly see that things are more difficult. So technically, like now, so see the red is on, I was doing wheel slip. So even though I'm really not on, I am on. So now if I go to the map, this is how you basically get yourself some jobs. So I want to get passengers. And so at this point, I'm going to sort different ways, and I'm going to do price per distance, and I'm going to reverse it. And so before, Nuremberg was pretty good. Yeah, they've definitely got some different things. But this is 85. 'Cause some of these are really long. And it's not that I'm opposed to doing it. It's just going to take a while. But man, this is tempting. Although that's going to be a lot of fuel. That's a lot of time. I'm probably going to have to stop and get fuel with what I have. So let's not push it. But yeah, what I think I did before was let's see, we've got Nuremberg. So let's look at the map quickly here. If I go to Nuremberg, so yes, we didn't look at the map. Let's do that really quick. So I just picked Munich because, I like Munich, Oktoberfest, cool part, southern, Bavaria near the mountains. What's not to like? So this is a representation of Europe. We've got Switzerland here with Zurich, Lucerne, and Bern. We've got Liechtenstein. We've got Luxembourg up here. Innsbruck, Salzburg. We've got Austria, Prague with Hungary, Brno. Little bit of Poland, kind of going up in this direction. So, you don't get to Warsaw and any of that. Mainly Berlin, Berlin, Germany is kind of the main center. And then we've got pieces of the Netherlands, Belgium, Brussels and all that. A little bit of France. We do get to Paris, but we don't, get to the south of Paris or anything. And then London is all we get into. So, we'd have to get all the way over to London, and that's a long way to go. I mean, we could take different cars, different folks, but, there's really nothing between here and Nuremberg. So a simple run to start out here would be nice. Now, it's important as you discover things, that is when it can be used for your other people. So unlike in Eurotruck, where I start my driver and then they'll just take jobs, and to some degree they just kind of go wherever they want to go. This is a little bit different, where if I haven't already been to it myself, so right now, like I haven't unlocked anything else in Munich. I've just been to the warehouse and I've been to Maine. You can see they're brighter. And then over here in Salzburg, we haven't done anything. So if I had an employee, like right now, they could just deal with these locations. So everywhere I go and visit, I'll unlock. So Nuremberg, Maine is where we need to get to. So we'll click on that, and that'll give us that. And passengers come from Maine. Now, I could stop here and take postage to Nuremberg, and maybe we will do that and take it to Nuremberg warehouse. So we'll kind of do this. Actually, then what I probably want to do is this. Whoops. Well, hold on. Oh boy, oh boy. So that. Because the problem ends up being right now, like I only have so much time to try to make it in, and I think it's pretty tight the way it sits. So while it's tempting, this is going to be the best I'm going to ever have. So let me oops, let me turn this off. All right. So if I go to the Munich warehouse, to Nuremberg, Maine, and then the Nuremberg warehouse, that'll give me everything. So that'll give us some complexity to begin with. And so now what we'll have, if we look at say, the Munich warehouse, like we got to see if there's anything that's going to Nuremberg. And there likely is going to be some, because I'm sure there's mail to everything. So there we go. We have some ready to pick up, so we'll get 16,000 for the mail, and there could be more, you know, for other things. And then we already know that we're going to get about 30 passengers here, 28 right now. So we're going to get like 18, so we potentially have 34,000, but we need to make it in 7 hours. And probably really close to that. Let's see, Nuremberg, in 8 hours and 42 minutes. So, should be okay. So that's the plan. But now at this point, so I'm wondering, because yeah, technically, normally, and I think it's because I don't have the, maybe I don't have my locomotive on there. Because if I go in the other way, I don't have to see, so like right now, that's enough. Like I can open doors, and it's given me that position. So there we go. And so it moved us because we stopped. And so again, there's some of that magic gamey stuff. So now if we open the doors, we're going to open the doors. It's going to load passengers. So here we go. And then we close the doors. And at this point, we're going to have 28 passengers on board. And then we're going to turn the emergency brakes off. We're going to change the reverser, and we're going to go. And so at this point, see, I don't want to go to the passenger boarding track. I don't know if at the Munich warehouse I'm cleared. So we're going to request access. So you may proceed through entry signals and all of that. So we're going to do that. But now that we're facing the direction we're going, you can see there's a green and there's a red. So it's 200 meters away. And again, we started at about 1,300, so we need to get there by 2,000 to get the appropriate time. And right now we're going to the Munich warehouse. It's 2,000 meters away. But what you'll see with extreme mode is I've got to go really fast. I've got to stay really close to the times. And so this is the first switch here. So it's going to keep us to the right. And then we're just going to have to make sure that everything works. And we know we're going to want to go to the right because we just came from it. But this now is going to get us out of the station here. You know, and again, we're going to have 8 hours to get the postage there, and it's further, but we're going to waste some of our time here. So again, now I can go 80, but I'm going to have to go 50 in just a little bit. And again, we need to go to the right, and we're set to the right, so we're good. So again, I'm going to try to keep moving because, you know, I'm going to have to find the track, and I'm going to have to pick the mail up and then continue. Okay, so this is just the crossing loop. Alright, so now I'm going to just kind of back off because we're flat, because we know we can't go beyond 50. But you can see it takes a bit of time. So, you know, there is that piece. This is still to the right. And now, let's see. So postage loading, unloading, so we want that because we want to know what we've got. So now it's telling me I don't want to go to the right, I want to go to the left. and we're about 300 yards, so we're going to slow down a little bit because this is how I created a problem for myself before. Because I just, like, I missed some switches, and then you have to back up, and it just gets ugly. So you can kind of see where we want to go. So now we've lost access to Munich, Maine, which is fine. So we want to go here, and again, we're looking for the yellow, so it looks like it's going to stay to the left. And we are to the left, so we're good there, and yes, and now we want to stay to the right. And so now it's green, and we're all set. And once we pull in here just a little bit, so I'm going to be able to slow down, you know, probably at this point, start my slowdown. And as soon as I get the train in here, there we go, we're going to be able to open doors, and it should load the mail. So there we go. Once we're stopped, there we go. Now it's going to move us somewhere. Now we open the doors, picking up postage. And then we have to close the doors. You know, and again, the time is ticking, as you can see. So, you know, so we're going to turn off stuff there. And now we need to get to Nuremberg, Maine, and you can see that's almost, well, it's 19 kilometers away. So we've got a ways to go. So the good things that people talked about with this is, you know, the developers claim there are 10,000 kilometers of track in this game. I don't know that that's accurate. Because again, Nuremberg's 20, you kind of saw the map. You know, I've gone all the way from Saarbrücken up to Berlin. That was almost 60, but it wasn't like a massive amount of distance. And again, yeah, there's 2 trains. So again, I think it's because there's like 7 different tracks in here. Like they're literally measuring every foot of track or meter of track that they have. So let's pay attention so we don't make any mistakes here as we head on out. So it's going to move us to the right because, again, trains typically do right to left, and, you know, just like cars in Europe. And then again, we're going to be able to go 80. So we're going to want to move along here. And so I'm going to, okay, I got a little bit of wheel slip, which really doesn't do anything that I can tell. But again, we want to be at Nuremberg, basically, if we can get there by 20, so in a little less than 5 hours, that will be excellent. So I'm going to speed this up a little more. It's stopped raining, which is great. And now let's just take a quick look at the map. Okay, so we're not going in anywhere except where we need to go, because sometimes if we're passing through, and again, it's usually not anything but the mains, but see, like Prague Warehouse might be on the line. It probably is not, but there are other things that, like, you have to request access or you'll get in trouble because, you know, you accessed it. So the blue signals are good. Okay, so we're going to merge here on the track. I'm just going to slow ourselves down a little bit because we're getting close. We don't want to go too fast. And again, the right shows me it's green, so we probably don't have a switch until we're out of Munich here, because technically we're still within Munich. And now, you know, we're staying to the right in the crossing loop, because there's always these crossing loops. So that was actually where that switch was for. Alright, so I'm going to back this off a little bit again. You know, and you can see now we're down to 7, so we've gone 2 kilometers. I mean, we're moving along, but we're now slowly getting down to 2 tracks, which is, you know, where you'll be in the countryside. You'll just have passing tracks. There haven't been any areas I've seen where there's only one. Like sometimes in Train Simulator you'll have that, but this is still a crossing loop here. And so sometimes, so see, now we no longer have access to Munich Warehouse. We lost that. We want to go to the right here toward the grain mill. Now again, broken trains, so we've got to watch our signals. And right now it's not showing red, but it may in a moment, so we're going to have to just be careful. And hopefully, so it's 1,000 meters ahead. Alright, so we want to proceed with caution. Now if I change, see that's red, that's not, so we're okay here. And so this is where it gets tricky, because I want to go quickly, but obviously if I'm on a track that's blocked, I'm going to have a problem. And so in theory, we're good. And so a broken train is just going to be a locomotive of some sort. So this again is going to keep us to the right. Now again, I should, and we can see it over on that side, so we want to stay to the right. But we're going to be able to go 110 shortly, and you can see the signal's red there, because the track is taken. See, but if I don't go quick enough, like I'm not going to make it by you know, I've got 3.5 hours now to go 14 kilometers, which in theory should be plenty, but as you'll see, it's not necessarily, because part of it is we're going to hit hills. We're going to get other things. So there are basically 3 things that can happen. You can have a broken train, you can have an approaching train. So this blinking is like, okay, there's stuff potentially happening. And then you can have an animal on the tracks. So there are animal crossing areas that we need to be aware of. But if we go up and down, like we have those, you know, and again, this is fast. It seems fast. So this is like a little bit of the Derail Valley world here. So there's, now it's, again, the broken train ahead is the one behind me. So it is a bit confusing in that regard. Alright, so we're staying to the right. So that's the one thing I don't like. There's a few things I'm not a real fan of in how this game does things. And again, we need to stay to the right at the next piece. So there it's saving. It's like every 5 minutes. Again, somewhat like Euro Truck. Now I think that's still the 19, because it's showing 2,000 meters behind me. Alright, so now I need to slow down, because you can see we got to be at 90. So now we were going a little fast, but we're lowering our speed to not get fined. And then it's going to go up here back to 100. So that's what I mean. So there's a lot of this that goes on. So see, now we're entering an Animal Crossing, but it's not warning us that there's an animal on the track. And we're climbing, so you can see we lost a ton of power, or a ton of speed. So there are like crazy grades, and I have had an issue where I've gotten stuck before, and couldn't make it up, but I was able to back up and get another run and make it. So again, you'll cross over, you'll go, we're down to less than 3 hours, but we are now, and again, we can go 120 here, and sometimes there are mismarkings, so that's the other piece that happens. So again, I've got to be careful, because here we can only go 100. Alright, so we want to stay to the right. And then we'll be able to go 120 after we get out of the curve. So right now it's just a lot of keep moving. And so if we don't make it in time, we lose at least half of what we had. So now you can see the Nuremberg sawmill is in range. So we're going to get things like that. And basically, like, if I wait a tick, I can up the throttle. So now we'll get ourselves to 100. It's not a steep enough hill that we can't climb. But once again, we just need to keep moving. Trust me. And yeah, if you're facing backwards, I learned that too. If you're facing backwards is bad. And so now the sign here where it says 70 should be telling me there's a 70 coming up somewhere. But that might be the sideline to the coal plant. I'm not sure. I've gotten messed up with this before coming through, but there's so much railway here. And so again, we can go 120 and we're still going to be able to go 120 over there. Now the problem's going to be if we do hit a 70 in some place. Right, so we do want to stay to the right because this is going to be a... See, now we're being told we're gonna be 70. So I want to go left. Okay, so now see how it says there's an animal near the track? Alright, so now, see, and then it lies, because it told me 70, but I wasn't going. So the animal is out. Now what we do, we want to stay to the right, because this is now a crossing again. And so we will, so now we're on an incline, you can see that. And now we're going to hit 100. Because we're going through a pretty tight turn. And so there's animals near the track. So we're going to want to be careful with all that. But what you do is we clear them out with our horn. And they really don't seem to hear the horn until you're at like 200 meters or 300. So I start honking about then. So there is that little dynamic. And so the only thing you haven't experienced yet is approaching train, which is a little bit more challenging because sometimes you do have to stop on both tracks. So see, now it hid, and so there he goes. So now again, he was out of the way, so even though it looked like we hit him, normally he'll vanish. So, alright, so we're gonna wanna slow down here, because we can only go 80. Well, it said we could go 80, but then it didn't change again. So that's what I mean. See, the marker, maybe next is 80, and so it gets a little confusing. So, and some of it could be, because we're off to the side, but we're going to have to go to the left, and we're coming up, we're 5 kilometers away now, and we've got an hour and 15 minutes. So, and we're moving along at a good clip, but again, I want to slow down now. See, and there, as long as we get down, so lower your speed or you may get fined. And again, there's a bit of a climb here, I think, because, yeah, you can see we're falling down. So you're always playing with your throttle a little bit, because you're obviously trying to stay, as fast as you can. But, it's my old be quick but don't hurry. The old John Wooden statement that I bring up on all kinds of things, because it's one of my favorite sayings. Alright, so less than 4 kilometers, and we have about an hour. So, I should be able to go 80, but whoop. almost messed that up. That would have been really bad, because by the time we stopped, backed up, like, those are the things that cause us heartburn. So, alright, and so again, because now we're going through Nuremberg, we're getting into the outskirts, like you can see, in town, they don't normally let you go more than 80. And then 50 is when we're going to be getting into the area that we've got to deliver. So 1,500 meters. So we want to go along as quick as we can now, because then we'll be going slower, but time goes as time goes, as you know. But yeah, we're already from 1,700 to 1,200, so, you know, we're chewing up the meters, just not super, super fast. And so we are at... Alright, so... we are now below 2,000, so we made it in like 28 minutes for those 2,000 meters. And again, we probably have a little bit of extra time, so you can do this, go to the company, look at my train. Yeah, see, we have 40 minutes, so we have a little bit longer than we thought. You know, and then for postage, we have 4 hours, so our mail will probably be fine. Our passengers, because we had to stop in between, it's going to become interesting. Because again, now we've got to be careful, because now we're coming up on a 50. That we need to slow down. Alright, so now we want to go to the passenger boarding track, and that will take us where we need. So we want to stay to the right. Again, we can go 50. Now we want to go to the left. I hope this is right, because yeah, it's not giving me a... I mean, it's telling me passenger boarding track. Whoops. Nuremberg, Maine. We didn't get access. Okay. Alright. So they've marked tracks for our arrival, but we don't know where they are. Alright, so now we want to go to the right. Now we want to go to the left. So in theory, we're going in the right place, I hope. And so we stay to the left. And it looks correct, because, yeah, it's yellow. So now we'll be able to start slowing down. And so now again, because things are moving, we want to stop as quick as we can, and then it'll go forward. We'll open the doors, we'll unload. So there we go. We're going to open the doors, departing the passengers. So we got 17,000, so I think we're okay. And now we want to close the doors. All right. So now we can look. Oh, we were a little bit late. So you can see 5 minutes. So again, if we hadn't stopped, but again, we only lost 342 and 8 XP. So that's not too bad. And you can see level 0, we're a green hand. So, and we got to get to 1,300. And so the other thing that we can see here, cities level up, and I think they give us more value when we're delivering, so we've got to get refined fuel. So I think this is fuel, logs, and refined metal. And we need 10 of each, and then Nuremberg would become level 2. Those are the level 2 requirements. Alright, so we have that. And so we can see here the time modifier. I didn't see that. But that's still not bad. And so now we'll go ahead, we'll turn this off, and we will now go to the Nuremberg warehouse, which is only 3 kilometers away. But all the passengers are gone. And, you know, in theory, what I could have done then is also picked up passengers here. I probably should have done that. And then you can kind of keep going. You know, but the challenge, too, is you're going to want to, you know, refuel sometimes. You're going to want to do other things. So now we want to get to Nuremberg warehouse, request access. Alright, and so again, we want to go left, which we already are. So we're good with that. We just want to be careful with the 50. Because we can go 80 once we hit the switch. So we want to go right now in 180. Or stay right, I guess, because this is the crossing loop. And so now we can go, and then we want to stay left. So see, some of them are really quick. So that's where you run into some potential problems. Right, so we're going underneath here. Not exactly what I would have thought, but that's okay. You know, and again, we'll get a bonus if we go faster. So in this case, we should have, because since we had about 3 extra hours to go these 3 kilometers, you know, we should be okay. So, alright, we're getting close to 80, so we want to be careful. And so we're getting up toward the warehouse. We've already obviously... Okay, a train has broken down, but it's 1,800 meters, so it's past where we need to go. We can go 80 still. See, and we're like getting Frankfurt, like there's other things we're getting close to here. So we want to go to the right. 300 meters. So I'm just being careful, because, again, I'm less familiar with this space, and again, we want to make sure we're to the right here. And we are, and then we're going to have to slow down, so we already kind of are in the range, which is good. But we're going to need to be down a little bit more in 100. Okay. So now, we're going to slow down, because again, we don't know where we're going to need to go. See? That's the problem. So now, I made a mistake, and so now this is using valuable time. So we want to back up, because I forgot to change, and the delivery spot is over there, but now we're losing all this time. And this is what happens, and this is part of what extreme mode is about. Like, you just don't want to do dumb things like this. Because again, this is easily taking 15 or 20 minutes. Alright, so now we want to reverse. We want to go here. See, but it went from 44, now we're at 51. it looks like we just need to get in there. So we're gonna go there, and I think we stay to the left. All right, and then, you know, we had to go to the right, so, and that was a quick shift. Otherwise it would have been pretty bad. So again, we're gonna get in here, we're gonna stop pretty fast, because as soon as we open the doors, we'll deliver the mail. So now we go up there, and there we go. We open the doors, 07, 08. So we delivered, and departing the postage, and then we close the doors. All right, so here we got 1.481. So we wanted we had 8 hours and 42 minutes, but we delivered it in 7 hours and 27. So, you know, the 8 XP we lost, we more than made up for it. And if we hadn't taken both loads, obviously, you know, we wouldn't have gotten this 24,580. Like, this actually paid more than the passengers did. So at this point, you know, we are good. There's, you know, a service thing there, 475. So we can go to those, but we're gonna go ahead and just take a peek at what we have here, and we're gonna wrap this up. Obviously, the train has no contracts. We have no employees. We need level 1. So you're able to get skills. So this is like skill points in the truck. So every time we go up a level, I think we get a perk. I think there are 30 levels, and there are 30 points, so we can get everything at the end. And then level unlocks, and so again, 0, 30, and you can go through the rewards. So, you know, we get this here for level 1. We're going to get an employee slot. We're going to go up 1 to have 1. That's why it's set until level 1 we can't have any employees. We're going to have access to another locomotive type. And again, I told you I went up a level just to see, because I'm like, well, do they give it to us? Or do we have to buy it? No, we'd still have to purchase it. But it becomes unlocked and available. And then I'm unfamiliar with the parts, but I'm sure that's for repairing things that we need to do at some point, that we can buy those and store those up. So that's our company info. The dashboard, again, gives us this information. You can see we now have 2% of the map explored. We've made 41,000, almost 42,000 euros, and I've made all of it because I haven't had a driver. You can see there are 43 cities in total in the game. So across that map, there's probably more than you thought looking at it. Our durability is still great. Our fuel level is 63%. We've played an hour, but just sitting and chatting, you know, does that. We own one locomotive. This is our average weekly profit. Again, we're in the first day. The world map we obviously saw. So if you look at the cities, like, this will show you what they have, but you can see, like, Aachen wants steel sheets and bread. Well, how do I get those? So this is where this comes from. So see, getting steel sheets, I need to get iron, go to the iron mine, get iron ore, take that to a smeltery. They're going to create refined iron. Then I have to take that to a steel mill, and then when we do that, they turn it into steel sheets. Or I could just, you know, have refined iron here and go to the warehouse, and or you know, and then the steel sheets can go into a factory. I don't know what then they do. Oh, I see, we deliver to a factory. So the greens are delivery points. So what I've done, for example, in my previous things, just getting familiar, I went to the forest, I got logs, I brought them to the sawmill. And then I took iron to the smeltery, and then I took coal to the power plant. So I've done those three things. I was doing all cargo, but again, I thought all I could do with the locomotive I have is cargo, which is inaccurate. Now scenarios exist, but these are almost independent. They're basically like do things, try, and again, these are the tutorial items that you go through that teach you how to do cargo, postage, manage the company, the stuff that we're going through, but they don't really pass over. And again, there's all these other scenarios you can do, so that is part of the game. But like when you get these locomotives, for example, um, they don't become available in the career mode. It's just what you're using. So the scenario is kind of on its own. It's not really part of career. But then when we're here, so what ends up happening is, let's say, okay, we're in Nuremberg, and let's say we go to the sawmill and look. So now you can see the station lacks resources and cannot produce any goods because it needs logs to do something. And so that's what I had, is like, well, all I can do is go to someplace like this with the coal mine, and then you have contracts and so forth. But again, then you're not a passenger pickup and all that. So we're definitely going to do both types of things. And to some degree, maybe other folks will be, or other things deliver it. Like what I don't know is if I don't do any of the cargo, like let's say I just now go back to Nuremberg, Maine. I mean, I can go from the warehouse here, and again, I can take postage. So like if I went, a way to look at it is price per distance. So now, like, see, if I just go to Munich, which isn't that far away, it's where I just came from, that's actually the way to make the most money per kilometer. Now I can go to Hamburg and take, it's longer, so I'm making about the same per kilometer, but I'm going to get paid more than double, assuming I make it. So that becomes the challenge, because, what I could do is, again, grab mail, grab people. And so let's say I'm going to go to Hamburg. So what do they give me here? So again, 86 per kilometer, not bad. They want 23 hours for the people, and we needed 20 hours for the mail. So I kind of have the opposite. And this is then when you can look back in here, because Hamburg is north, I think. Well, I guess I'm wrong. Where is Hamburg? Okay, yeah, it is north. So if I go here to Hamburg, so we would hit the warehouse before we hit that. See, so the thing is, like, I can pick that up, go get the people, turn around, head back, and then we deliver here first. And if we get there in 20 hours, and then if we get there in 23, so maybe that's what we'll do next time. And then we can switch ourselves over, because we're near a lot of things. There's a farm, there's a coal mine, there's an iron mine. There's a lot of things that we have available to us. But you'll notice then there aren't really, like, there's a smeltery. So if I, but I'd have to go from the iron mine to here. But I could go from this iron mine to here. So, but that's what we're looking at. And I'll tell you, this doesn't look like 43 cities, but it's telling me there are 43 cities. So, and right now, my dashboard is, where was the one that had the cities? I don't remember. Oh, is it here? No. I thought there was somewhere that told me how many cities I'd been to. Or fully upgraded cities. Never mind, that's what it is. And so yeah, there's only like 3 or 4 avatars per per sex, so like 3 male, 3 female, or 4 male, 4 female. There aren't a lot. It's not like you can create your avatar. They don't give you that ability. But you'll notice, see, like it's gone up 7 minutes because we've been talking and looking through things here. So it's not really like full playtime. But yeah, I think I'll do one more passenger and so forth, and then we'll do some cargo as we go forward. But hopefully this is a series you'll find enjoyable, and you'll follow along on the channel here. But like I said, the big difference where Derail Valley, yeah, has a big map, a complicated map, but the haul we did here is most of the map in Derail Valley, like it's north to south or something, takes about the same amount of time. So again, like I said, the one thing I did, I went from Saarbrücken to Berlin. This was about 60 kilometers. We went here and then through this area up here and over there, and it took I think it was like 21 or maybe even more hours, and I made it in time. I got a bonus. I made but again, with cargo, you're just doing one thing, and even though it says you can take 12 cars, like I've had 6 and not been able to make some of the grades. And again, they're not marked like they were. Not that in the Derail Valley map they were marked, but there were things that someone had created online that marked them that worked pretty well. But there's a lot of potential here, and we'll have to see. But you'll notice, like, Munich has a forest. So that's what I had done, is I went Munich forest to Nuremberg sawmill. Then I went from the coal mine to, where did I go? To the smeltery. I think I went from the coal mine to, did I go to the Munich smeltery? I don't think so. Maybe I went from the coal mine to the steel mill. And then I took, because then my last one brought me back through here. I think that was the one I went from the Saarbrücken forest. So yeah, I might have gone to the Mannheim. So I think I went from the coal mine to the Mannheim smeltery, or from the iron mine. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Yeah, I think I went from the coal mine to the power plant. Then I went from the iron mine to the smeltery, and then I went from the forest. I went over here to the forest, and then took things. So again, you're doing a lot of driving to go pick up the load, but with the cargo, you can basically lock the load in and reserve it, and then it stays there for you. But you can see, like, there are smaller cities, like Reims only has a couple things, and if we're here, whoops, clear GPS. Okay, so yeah, you just highlight it, but Nuremberg needs 3 things, and then I think we saw, like, Berlin. I don't know, there was something that needed quite a few. I thought there was something that needed 4 or 5 things, but maybe I was crazy. I think it was on these, and I think it was just they're showing, but you can see, like, Amsterdam has a lot of stuff, a lot of green. So, some cities are busier than others, is basically what we've got. So Munich is a big one. Nuremberg is a big one. But you can see, like, we need heating oil, logs, and again, you need carloads of that. And then when you get the next level, you get whatever the minor bonus and the major bonus is. And, again, I don't know what happens after level 2 and how many levels the cities go up to, because they did talk about fully upgraded cities. So, is it 5 levels? Is it 2 or 3? I don't know. So that's all the stuff that's available to learn, but because of that, like I said, there's potential here. It's not going to be super challenging, other than just not making a mistake as we go. And because I'm on extreme mode, it's there's penalties. The penalties are bigger, and the rewards are potentially smaller. So there's definitely some stuff that goes on. But yeah, I'm intrigued with the Nuremberg to Hamburg, and then doing some stuff from Hamburg and maybe doing more cargo. So I think overall cargo is a little bit different. And if I could find something that's like 3 of this, but the challenge still becomes where I think in extreme mode, it's really hard to stack loads. Like, we did like 4 jobs in Derail Valley with one train in one run, and we did okay. But I think it's challenging to do stuff like that here in this extreme difficulty. That's what we've got. If you have not liked or subscribed, please consider that. It's greatly appreciated. It's really, really helpful to the channel. I continue to try to just, give you guys something to watch and learn about and chat about. So hopefully this is one of those things, and I will see you next time.